Good morning. Good morning. If everybody Bibles, like you turn with me to Psalms 121, verses 1 through 2. That's Psalms 121, verses 1 through 2. I should be telling you in the beginning, we're going to be using two sets of scripture. But the first is, of course, Psalms 122, verses 1 through 2. Psalms 121, verses 1 through 2. Does everybody have it? Okay. Psalms 121, verses 1 through 2 says, and I'm reading from the English Standard Version. I lift up my eyes to the hills, from where my help come. My help come from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. All right, our next scripture is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 6. That's Hebrews chapter 13, verse 6. Does everybody have that one yet? No. Okay, we'll give you a little bit more time. Okay. Does everybody have it now? Yes. Okay. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 6 says, so we can confidently say, the Lord is my help. I will not fear what can man do to me. Okay. I want to title this lesson, Help. Help. 4 words, help. Anybody ever see Castaway? Yeah. It's a Tom Hanks movie. And about how he's stuck on a desert island. Yeah. You know, where he has a little coconut and he says, Wilson! You know. On that island, he needed help to get off the island. He was going to need help to get off the island, you know. A lot of movies teach us that. Survival shows teach us that, you know, they feel like they don't need any help to survive. A lot of survival shows on Natural Geographic, you know, Discovery Channel. You know, you see a lot of those channels where they like, you know, fit, I need survival. You know, they need help to survive, like I said before. As Christians, we're not like that. We need help to survive. And God is our help. Okay? So, the Lord is the best person to turn to when we're going through something. Okay? Why do you say that, Reverend White? Well, I'm glad you asked. He's the best person to turn to because he knows everything. There's nothing that God doesn't know. So I always say this, but it's very true. If you have a fire at your house, would you want an experienced fireman or an inexperienced one? If your house is getting broken into, you want an experienced cop, not an inexperienced cop. If you were sick and you need to go to the doctor, you want an experienced EMT, not an inexperienced EMT, right? You don't like I said, you don't want the cop that like his house he's trying to come and see what's wrong with your house. His house is getting broken into, you know. You don't want the fireman that while your house is burned down, his house burned down, you know. You want an experience, and that's what God is. He's help. He's our help, and he's also experienced. Imagine how many people have been through what you've been through, faced things that you faced, and God has delivered them. And also imagine the people who have been through things that you've been through and died. But it was God helping you to get through all that you've been through. Everything that you go through in life, you're going to need help. And God is, like I say, God is your help. Yes, He is. See, like I say, we're going to need help one way or another in this life. You believe it or not, you're going to need help. When you're a baby, you need help, right? Your parents help you, you know, that you can't do anything when you're a baby. I sure hope not. I couldn't do anything when I was a baby, you know. My parents had helped me. And when I get old and gray, the nurse is going to have to help me. My wife going to have to help me. So we're going to need help one way or another. Like I say, and in the spiritual sense, God is our help. So, we have to be willing to turn to Him in times of trouble. We must be willing to ask, you know, we must be willing to accept help God's giving us, you know. Like people say, I don't want God's help, you know, I don't need God. Well, we need God every second, every minute, every moment, every hour. We need God. We need Him and we need His help, you know. Some people are stubborn and don't want to accept help. not just from God, from anybody. But like I say, we gonna all need help to survive. Yes. We all gonna need help to survive. Yes. So when a lot of people, they get help from the wrong places. But what do you mean by that, Reverend White? Well, you got people who are reaching their hands out to you, right? For as a gesture of trying to help. And then when you get up, when you try to get up, they pushing it back. Yeah. But see, God has His hands open to us. See, that's the difference between the world's help and God's help. See, when God sticks His hand out for us, we can reach it. He's willing to pull us up. But when the world reaches it out, and you get like 3 feet and touch their hand, they pull it away. God isn't like that. God doesn't pull His hand away from us. Pull away His helping hand. He keeps it there. He keeps it there. So, the Lord is our help in those troubling storms. All right? Now, I'm known to say this, but it's very true. All right. So, at the beginning of a storm, you have to thank God. Because you say, God, I know you're going to help me through this ordeal I'm going through. In the midst of it, you have to say, Lord, I know you're helping me through this, even though I'm going through this hell or circumstance or trial or tribulation or whatever. And at the end of it, you have to thank Him because you say, God, you delivered me from this. You helped me and you delivered me from this circumstance. All right? All right? So, breaking it down, you have to thank Him every step of the way. Every storm that you've been to, you have to thank Him on. And see, there are people who are just getting ready to go into a storm. There are people who are in a storm right now. And there are people who are coming out of a storm. But you have to realize that each one of those people have to rely on God's help through that process, because it won't be easy. Storms are. You ever realize watching a storm? You see what happens when it comes through a town or a community, how ravished everything is, and you see all these organizations that come together, like Red Cross and things like that. They come together to help them to rebuild after they have lost everything. But see, the thing about God is that in the midst of the storm, God will help you, right? Because you see these organizations, they come after the storm has passed, You never see them before the storm. Well, you never see them before the storm. You never see them when the storm is going on. But God, every step of that storm, He's there. In the beginning, He's there with you. In the midst, He's there with you. And at the end, He's there with you. And that's something we can rely about, because you got people who say they want to help you. And they only with you at the beginning of the storm, because guess what? Ain't no really bad going on at the beginning, and then they with you at the end of the storm because it's over with, and they can come back and relax. But you don't find too many friends who are in the midst of the storm with you. That's right. And a good thing about God is that He sticks closer than a brother, and He can't go nowhere. He cannot go nowhere. You see, the Lord also. We sometimes expect God to intervene divine. We expect Him to come down and heal our body. Come down. Heal our body. But sometimes God can send us help. He can send us help. He can send help. He can send us. Somebody. God can be using you to help somebody, or God can be using somebody else to help you, and you don't know it. You never know. God can use anything and anyone for His purpose and His will. What they say, all things work together for the good of the Lord. See? So God can use anything. He can use a person come by your house to see how you're doing, somebody to pray for you, somebody to give you a phone call. We never know how God, we never know how God can work things out. Like I say, we expect Him to come down in the cloud, but God can work things out here. God can work things out through us. That's right. Through us. So, and we have to be willing to use. We have to be willing to be used by God as well. You see, we must run. We try to outrun the storm. We try all kinds of things in order to avoid not facing the storm. We try to outrun the storm. We try to postpone the storm. Things like that. But the best thing to do is, when you're facing something like that, is to turn to God. Because He's experienced, like I said before. You see, we turn to everything else. We're going to turn to God. We have to learn to turn to God when we're facing these storms. You see, the Lord will be there to help us in our time of crisis. And you can't say that for everybody else.
No.
You cannot say that for. I wish some people. I wish if you tell me that. Oh man. Now I know from experience that everybody won't be with you in your time of crisis.
That's right.
And I know most of us can attest. All of us can attest to that. That you have friends and family who are not there for you in your time of crisis, but God was there through it all to help you through it. God was there to help you. We need to rely on God's help. So many people give up because they feel like they don't have no help.
Yeah.
You don't believe me? You see people die every day because they feel like they don't have any help. People lose their lives, take their lives every day because they don't know where to go or where to turn to. When the Word tells us that God is our help, God is our help. You see, our help, like I say, our help doesn't come from worldly things. It comes from God. And if you keep turning to those things, then you're going to get hurt every time. And there's a saying I like to say, you cannot get hurt. You cannot get healed by staying in the same place that you got hurt at. If you want help, you gotta move. Sometimes you gotta move, because you got people who are holding you down. They got the crab mentality. And what's that? Well, I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's when one crab gets up out of the shell, tries to get out of the shell, and other crabs pull them down.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of that. You gotta cut them loose. You got to cut them loose because they're not helping you, they're hurting you. And the more help you try to get from them, the deeper they try to drag you down. And as Christians, we as Christians should be encouraging our brothers and sisters. We should not be like the crabs pulling one another down. We should be lifting each other up. We should be encouraging one another. We should call one another and pray for one another. And see how they doing, because you never know how much you can impact somebody's life just by calling them or praying for them. Saying, brother, I'm thinking of you today, or sister, I'm thinking of you today. We can encourage somebody who's going through a storm and circumstance. Just because that storm isn't the same as your storm does not mean that it isn't relevant or it doesn't matter. Put that stuff aside and just pray for somebody. Pray for your brother, your sister who's going through a storm. So no matter what, just keep praying for them. You see, we should never be afraid to pray for our brothers and sisters, because you want somebody to pray for you when you're going through something, wouldn't you? You want somebody. You would want somebody to help you out if you were going through something, right? You want somebody there. So why can't you be that person that you want to somebody else? Why can't you? You see, we can't be afraid to ask for help, though. We can't be afraid to ask for help. A lot of times we can't be afraid to ask help from God. A lot of times, we don't want help. Like I said, we don't want help. We feel like we got this. But there's a painting or a statue of this guy holding the whole world on his shoulders. And if you don't ask for help, that weight is just weighing down on you. It's weighing down on you, not only physically, mentally, but spiritually. It's weighing down on you. When all we have to do is give that weight to God and allow Him to help us out. So many people are carrying around depression and are carrying around sadness and they're carrying around anger. When all we have to do is ask God to lift that weight off our shoulders. Some say, I don't know how to. Well, turn to God. He can lift that weight off your shoulders. I don't know how to let the spirit of anger out of my heart. I don't know how to forgive. I don't know how to love. Well, turn to God. He's there to help you. Because God is love. God is love, ain't it? God is love. So He will help us. He will help us He will help you to love. He will help you to forgive. He will help you He will help you through it all. But not everybody believes that, but it's true. I'm a witness. It is true. God will help you through it. He will help you to get through whatever you're going through. Like I said earlier, God is bigger than the circumstance. Circumstance is not bigger than God. And He can fix it. He can fix it. If we everybody tells us, when you're going through something, everybody wants to help. Everybody wants advice. But I'm going to tell you something. Everybody can't help you, and you shouldn't take everybody else's advice. You should not. You should not take everybody's advice. Because not all advice, because I'm going to tell you something there. Not all advice is good advice. But turn to God because he can help you out. He can help you get through the tangles and storms and taking everybody else's advice and consulting everybody instead of God will have you in a world of trouble. It's kind of like a spider web. You're wrapped in a spider web when you take everybody else's advice and don't consult God. You don't ask him for help. You don't ask him how he felt about it. When you do things on your own, then the problem starts. The problem will start. It's not a matter of it's not a matter. It will start. It's not a problem of when. It's just a matter of when it'll start. Because it depends who advice you take. I can take this one's advice and I'd be in trouble, and I take that one's advice, I'm in trouble. But look to the hills, which comes our help. Look to God, because there's some sticky situations that you're going to face in life. Some of us have already faced sticky situations, but God will help us through it. I believe that. I believe God will help us. See, we think that everything is in our control, and boy, I'm telling you, it's not. Some things are going to arise that we cannot. I'm not saying some things. All things are going to arise that we can't handle. We're going to try to handle it, but it's going to be too much for us. So my advice to you when you face something like that is to turn it over to the Lord. Because you can't get healed, like I say, if you don't turn it over. You can't. You see, our bodies can only take so much. Our physical body's going to take so much. And I'm gonna imagine pushing a boulder up a hill, right? One person cannot do it by themselves. We all need help pushing that boulder up the hill. Not only by the spiritual sense, we can ask God to help us, push the boulder up the hill, and he will, because there are spiritual boulders that we're going to face in life. Every day we face spiritual boulders. And then also working together with our brothers and sisters in the church. We have to be willing to push the boat up the hill together. Or push the wagon up the hill. And it's funny to me, because I always make a joke about it, but everybody wants to be in a wagon. Nobody wants to push the wagon up the hill. Nobody wants to. But when it's going down, everybody wants to get in a wagon. And it's funny to me. It's very comedic to me, But as Christians, we cannot have that mindset. We got to all push the wagon up the hill. We all got to be willing to work together and push the wagon up the hill. Because contrary to popular belief, one person cannot do it. One person cannot do it. We got to work together to do his will. Work together through thick and thin. So I don't know where people get that mindset of thinking I can do it by myself. Because we're not Superman. We can't do it by ourselves. We need help. If you think you can do it by yourself, you're in a world of trouble. Because we can't do bad by ourselves. We cannot do it by ourselves. So many of us, we feel like we don't want help from somebody because of their color or where they're from. But like I say, don't let that discriminate. Don't let that discriminate. Don't let that discrimination stop you from getting help from somebody if you need help. I'm not going to help them because I'm not going to accept their help because they're black, or I'm not going to accept their help because they're a man or whatever. Don't let that stop. If you need help, get help. Get help if you need help. God is there to help us some of us we have trouble spots in our lives. Trouble spots which we feel like we want to maneuver around them and go do things our way. But at the end we realize that God's way is the best way. God's help is the best help, and there's no one like him. So when everybody else is telling us, do things this way, do things that way, listen to God. So as I close, I want to say this. To the Christian, if you need help, turn to God. And to the non-believer, God has his arms open to help us. God has his arms open to help you if you need it. All you have to do is come. Thank you. Good morning.